over my agenda for this evening. This is not going to be like a regular class. You know, we just wanted to get everybody hooked up, test out our streaming capabilities, and get things all going that way. Make sure that anybody who doesn't have appropriate tools set up, get there, and then go through and do a couple of quick lessons, including, if nothing else, getting everybody to a Hello World program so they can at least know that they've got one program under their belt, and then make sure that everybody knows what are the pieces of software they could choose. I know after I told everybody I was going to use Visual Studio Code, I decided to work with instead the laptop that has a microphone is installing Windows updates. Windows updates. Haven't had any of those recently.
Says waiting for Charles Roman.
What says that?
The YouTube stream says that.
Really? This says I'm live. Oh, Sam's watching it right now. You might want to refresh because I'm looking over there and it's on Sam's computer. So I know we're live.
I just refreshed and it says that it's still waiting for Charles Roman.
Really? Did somebody take a screenshot? I see. Yeah, I'm showing five people on it.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Going through the front door. Okay. I am currently watching the stream, so I'm not quite sure what you guys are running into. Going through the front door. Okay. I am currently watching the stream, so I'm not... Okay, I've just shut down the volume on the stream now so I don't repeat myself 30 seconds later. Okay, so I see a whole bunch of people that are online but still not there. Tim, are you sitting in with the kids? Rebecca, is your dad with you? Isaac, is your dad with you? Okay. Okay, I don't see you over in the chat. Are you just gonna chat instead of also have voice? You just got to. Oh, okay. So here's a pro tip: turn the volume off on the stream, and then listen in through Discord. Because the stream is going to have something between 15 seconds and possibly a couple minutes delay, depending on the speed of your network connection or internet connection. But Sam sitting next to me with 100 megabits down has about a 18 second delay. So it'll be a lot easier for communication if everybody communicates through Discord. Yeah. Okay, so on the far left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see this thing that says voice channels. And then under general, Yes, Casey, that's it. And then under general, just click on general, and that will automatically put you into the voice chat. You can't hear a thing. Do you have your volume up? I show that you have yourself muted, Casey. Your headphones are turned off. Now can you hear something?
Yeah, just
Is anybody talking? Because I can't hear anything.
I can hear and talk.
Yeah, Casey, I was just showing up until a second ago. You had your headphones, with a line through them. So
I've got the stream working now.
Okay. So Casey, can you hear anything yet? Had your headphones, with a line through them. Okay, somebody.
I've got the stream working now.
Somebody has their YouTube volume on as well.
My Discord is not making any noise.
Do you have your deafen button pressed, Casey?
Doesn't look like it. We would be able to see. And I'm repeating myself. Oh.
That's because you can hear.
Yeah, so
just mute yourself, Isaac.
Okay.
Yeah, mute.
Who
Yeah.
has the better mic?
Well, here's the thing. Everybody mute their YouTube.
Okay, can somebody please answer me? Am I supposed to be hearing something right now?
I can hear you, but can you hear...
I know you hear me. I don't hear you. I don't hear anything. It's definitely off. You said to mute the YouTube video because it would lag behind.
Right.
It says you're all talking. Yeah? Discord's notification sound comes through loud and clear.
Interesting. So you might want to check your settings, Casey, because I've got no idea. But I can unplug. Okay, so yeah, maybe Casey should jump off and then jump back on. Okay, so everyone who is not here, let me know. So we know whether or not to wait any any further. I think we're going to be good to go. Casey, can you hear now?
Everything is good for me.
Yep. Casey, can you hear? Casey still cannot hear. Okay. Okay, so let's get started this way. For whoever doesn't have Python set up, we'll just go ahead and walk through the install of Python. It's pretty straightforward. Now, keep in mind that there's two things that you'd want to install. You'd want to install Python itself, and then you're going to want to install, some sort of IDE or integrated development environment is what that stands for. I'm working with PyDev.
Yeah, I just tried playing with settings, restarting Discord. Still can't hear anything. I just turned the volume all the way up.
I don't know.
At this point, it should be blasting my ears out, but I can't hear anything.
You can't hear any of us?
That'll confuse things. Then you guys will get an echo. You'll hear yourselves coming through again.
Can you work? Okay, so we're going out to python.org. And if you haven't gone through this, is anyone working with a Mac or other substandard type of piece of software?
And now would I talk?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's no fun. I'm gonna figure this out.
So if nobody's running a Mac, all you need to do is go to python.org, go to downloads, and then pick Python 3.6.1. And literally what you're going to do is open this up and accept all defaults. I guess I can uninstall mine, and then I'll just go back and reinstall it. It's like...
I've already done that multiple times, and each time it said download failed.
Download failed.
Did you try repairing it? Or did it just not work?
Yeah,
I don't know what it did, but
it's taking longer to uninstall it than it took to install it.
Oh, wow. That's loud.
Okay, so while that's uninstalling, I'm going to explain the difference between Eclipse or whatever you're going to use for your IDE and Python. Python itself is the language, the interpreter, and that sort of thing. It's the sort of the engine. And your IDE, in my case, I'm using something called Eclipse, is just an environment where you can interact with that engine a little bit easier. Python comes with its own IDE, but it is very, very basic. And we're probably just going to use that tonight for those who don't have an IDE installed. And then after we get done, what we'll do is I will be happy to stay on and help anybody who wants pick and then install an IDE so that they have it ready for them. While we're waiting, I'll just go ahead and go through some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. The first is something that came up the other day with Sam, where he was saying he doesn't know how pumped up he gets about programming itself. And this is a thing that I told him because it's sort of like the way you got to think about it. I have yet to meet a single person in my life who is really, really jazzed up about driving nails. Okay, so I've got that uninstalled now. So you just go to download, you go to Python 3.6.1. It's about a 29 megabyte download. Open it up. Just go to install now, and I'm just going to go ahead and accept all of the defaults. And it's really a very easy program to install, assuming nothing goes wrong. Now, was that Isaac that said that he was having some difficulty?
No.
Okay, so who was having difficulty with it crashing?
I might have got it set up. Is it supposed to be like a black page?
A black page. It should be very, very white with just text. We'll open it up in a second and I'll show you what it looks like.
Might be just your...
And it might be you have some settings to it. Or you might have also downloaded an IDE and you're trying to open up an IDE and like Visual Studio Code is black and some of the other IDEs are black. Okay, so I'm getting this setup is successful. That was all it took. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close out of this and now I'm going to open up Python 3.6, and I'm just going to open up what's called idle. And idle is an IDE that comes with Python, and we'll show you how it works. It's a little bit simplistic. So can everybody get with me here on the Python 3.6.1 shell by opening up idle? And if you're having any difficulty with this, let me know. Okay, so we're all here. Let's go ahead and write our first program just so everyone can say that they've written a computer program. And that's the the classic hello world, the first program that you make with any language. And the way that you do it with Python is simply to type in print, open parentheses, open quotes, close quotes.
Okay, I
close.
just finally got on here.
So you can hear now, Casey?
Web app, because the desktop app is broken.
Ah. Okay.
Okay, so what am I supposed to be doing?
Okay, so we just downloaded and installed Python. We're opening up idle in just a simple Python shell. We're going to type in the command print hello world. You should be able to see that on the webcast right now. And then simply hit enter. And you should have a blue printout of the words hello world. Did anyone get something different than that?
Nope.
Okay. You guys are going command line.
I've got the page up, but I can't see the stream well enough to see what was actually written. And I typed in what I thought, and it says missing parentheses and call to print.
Okay. So on this, well, let me go ahead and put into here. What we should be doing. That's all you need to put. Okay? So if everybody could put that in, they should be able to get output that just says hello world. So, Rebecca, you see where it says idle? That's the one you should be, that's the one I want you to open and work with. Okay. So, did anyone get anything other than a printout of hello world?
Nope. I'm fine.
Okay. So, here's another thing that we can do. If you go to File and then you choose New File, let's go ahead and write that same program in there. Print hello world. And now what will happen is that we can go ahead and run this, what's called a module. It's going to want to say save. So we're going to save it and just, save this wherever you want to do it and put a name on it. I'm just going to call it hello world. And now it's going to run, and I'm going to have that hello world. Now what's nice about this is I can go back and I can rerun this. And rerun it. And rerun it. And so that is our first now script that we've written. And if you go look for where you save that script, it saved it as a whatever you want to call it .py. And really, that's what you do in your IDE is you're going to be creating those scripts, saving them so you can run them at a later time. Whereas in the console or the shell program here, everything that we run is going to be just executed, immediately. So you can obviously do some more sophisticated stuff where we can, string a whole bunch of commands together. And over the next few weeks, we're going to go from just being able to print hello world to being able to do some pretty amazing things. Python is a language that's what they call a high-level language. It's very new. It's been made only within the last few years. It's been made by a fellow that was a longtime programmer who had all the advantages of knowing all the things that work and don't work in all these different languages. It's a very simple language from the point of view of it doesn't have a ton of stuff you have to learn to use it, but it uses all of the same concepts that almost every programming language uses. So we're going to learn about such things as iteration and loops, functions, classes, that sort of thing over the next few weeks. And even though we're learning in Python, all of those same concepts work with almost every modern programming language. So as we're learning Python, think of it like learning an instrument, where if you learn how to play the piano, learning how to play another instrument's a lot easier because you already have all the music theory behind you. You know, so learning a computer program's like that. Now, getting back to that, what I was saying, don't get pumped up about coding in the same way that a carpenter doesn't get pumped up about hammering nails or sawing wood. Get pumped up about what you build, just the same way that the carpenter gets pumped up about building a house or building whatever it is that, you know, they build that, you know, brings them joy. Today's world is more and more going to the point where everything contains computer programming, including, you know, obviously dishwashers and sewing machines, computers, obviously, but televisions and cars. The way that we interact with the world is going to become more and more, you know, great for a programmer and not so great for somebody who doesn't. And, you know, that's just the way that we're going. But on top of it, the careers that are going to be available to everyone on this call that's under 20 are going to either have programming involved with them, or they're not probably going to pay very, very much. Even doctors are going to be programmers before too long. Now, the next thing I want to say, because I know that a lot of people here are going to be programming for the first time, and we have some guys that are in this class that are middle-aged, that have never programmed before, and I thank them so much for giving this a try. The thing I'm going to tell you is there's no right way of doing it. And so don't worry about it if you don't do it exactly the way that somebody else does it. It's sort of like, I lost my audio? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Just like there's not a right way to drive across town, there's not a right way to program. There are righter ways, and there are ways that work best for the circumstances. And that's what's really great about programming, is it's a creative thing where you try to do it the way that works best for the situation that you're in, but there's always 1,000 ways of doing it. And so it's not like if I don't do it exactly this way, then somebody's going to get mad at me because I'm not doing it right. It doesn't work that way. You have a task, you try to do that. If you do it, then great. If you don't do it, okay. There's got to be another way of going around it. The other thing I'm going to say here is we could be in a situation where you read a book and you learn everything that book has to tell you, and you still can't program. In fact, you could read 15 books and not be able to program. What you need to do to learn how to program is practice, practice, practice. And so if we go out to our OneNote, which I've got set up here, and you look at this section called Practice Exercises. Here what I've done is just collected up 3 or 4 different places from around the web where they've got lots and lots of practice exercises. Some of them really complex things, some of them really simple things. The one that I think is a great place to start is this pythonpractice.org, and I've linked to all their exercises. And if you just simply click on it, that'll take you out to their webpage where you then you get a chance to read the exercise and what you're trying to do. Go ahead and try to create whatever it is that they're trying to get you to create. If you get stuck, there usually is a solution that you can go to and read up on how to do this. And even if that solution doesn't have everything that you want, there's going to be a discussion underneath where people are going to talk about different ways that they did it. And one thing that I'm trying to figure out if I want to share or not is I'm going through all these exercises as well. I probably will share these out, and I'd encourage you to do the same. Let's do that now. Let me copy. And here are my going through and I'm filling these out, a couple of them a day. I'll try to stay ahead of where we're at, so that you can see how I do this. But if some of the other folks that I know, are pretty good programmers, Sam, Micah, Tim probably fits in that range. If they go out and they do the same exercises, they're not going to look exactly like my solutions, and that's okay. And that's part of the point, is that everyone's going to do it a slightly different way. I would suggest to you the early ones that are very easy, our code's probably going to look very close. But as soon as we start getting down to where they have these little, I think they call them chilies, are an indication of how complex the question is. When you get to 3, 4, 5 chilies, the chances are my code's going to look very different than everyone else's, and everyone's going to have pretty unique code on the way they go about it. And that's great. So don't feel like there's a right way to do this, but practice. And I'm going to suggest to you that at least try to do one practice exercise every day. And if you do that, by the time that we get done with this course, you will be a pretty darn good Python programmer. Maybe not a professional level, but you'll know what you're doing. And you'll find that by the time you get, 10, 15 questions into this, you'll be very, very comfortable with most of the structure of the language. Python itself is a really easy language to learn, but programming as a concept takes a little bit of time to really master. And if you do a practice question every day, the chances are a year from now, you guys are going to be absolutely fantastic at what at working with Python. So, any questions there before we go on?
I don't think so.
Okay. And I'm going to try to keep my practice stuff out here so you guys can see. These are the Python or practice Python, and then I've just got them listed by the number. I'd be very interested in seeing how everyone else does it. It's always fun to see how two different developers create the same code, because you'll see that there's a thousand ways of doing everything. Okay, the next thing, and this is sort of a little bit of a housekeeping thing I put on there from earlier. Make sure that you're keeping your name, at least for the first few weeks on the Discord server, as who you are, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and there's a few people who couldn't make it tonight that reached out to me that they'll be watching the live stream. We have 18 people who signed up for this, right? And there's no way that we can keep everybody everybody straight if everybody's like Darth Vader's son, 1, 2, 3. So at least for the first 2 weeks, as we get to know everybody, and your icons and stuff, keep your name so that we can understand. And believe it or not, that's the end of my notes for what I want to do, other than now make sure that we are signing out chapters 1 through 3. Chapter 1 should go very, very quickly, because I think the only thing that they do in it is a hello world, but that might even be in chapter 2. It's a conversation with the guy that wrote the book, who's a really neat guy that I've been corresponding with now since we chose this material, and I just reached out to him to make sure that he was okay, because we're going to be recording and that sort of thing, that we were using his material. He's very pumped up about us using his book for this class, and he absolutely wants to know how things are going and get feedback and figure out if there's any way he can help out. If you look in the book, you'll see his webpage. I'd highly recommend going there, because he has some resources that are really designed to help newbies get up and running. And he has just as much passion about teaching people how to program as I do. So I really like the guy. You can read about him in chapter 1, but then chapter 2 on is, straightforward, teaching the blocking and tackling of first Python and then programming in general. I'd like to go through chapter 1 through 3, and then we'll discuss those next week. Mostly we're going to be discussing Chapter 3, and you'll find out that after going through Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, Chapter 3 all of a sudden gets very serious and covers a lot of material. Don't panic. It'll all make sense very quickly, and that's what the practice exercises are for. Getting through that. Make sure to do all the practice exercises at the end of each chapter. That's very, very helpful. The other thing about the way that we've got things set up is I flashed up on the screen the OneNote. Here on week 1, we'll have notes about everything. I've got my notes for Chapter 1. I've got my notes for Chapter 2 because I was actually planning on originally putting Chapter 1 and 2 this week, but then I realized that we probably didn't have time to do that if we wanted to have time to help get anyone unstuck as far as getting stuff installed. Use this resource. As I've been going through and finding what we need to have in here, I'm also on the general documentation tab. I've been putting in things like different commands, different concepts, like conditionals, loops, the main function, operators. And some of this I'm getting from, directly out of the Python documentation. Some of it I'm getting from other sources. So simply put, I should always be a couple of chapters ahead in what I'm documenting out here for you, so that as you come across ideas and you want to look at them a little bit harder, you can do that. Anything that's blue is obviously a hyperlink. And then, again, practice exercises. I really recommend one a day. And there's an old thing that my wife told me a long time ago about these kind of things, and that's that if you do 100 sit-ups every day for a year, right, you're going to have abs that are in pretty good shape. If, on the other hand, you do 36,500 sit-ups in a day once a year, you're just going to hurt yourself. Right? Don't plan on being able to cram your way through learning to program. Instead, take it a little bit of a time every single day. And you'd be surprised at how fast you pick it up. Whereas if you try to read 2 or 3 chapters at a sitting, and then you don't go through those those practice exercises, you're not going to learn it. And I would suggest to you, spend 2 or 3 minutes of doing practice exercises for every minute that you're reading, at least. And you'll find that once you get past the first few exercises, it becomes fun. The other thing I'm going to warn you is you are going to get frustrated the first few practice exercises you're going to do, because you're going to struggle with such things as syntax and structure and terminating your statements in the right way. And that's one of the reasons you go through those exercises. Is the hardest few of them are actually going to be the first few of them that are easiest exercises, because that's where you're going to make all of the little syntax and white space errors. Okay, and then lastly, Discord is a really cool thing. And our app design team has had a Discord chat going now for a little bit over 2 years. Is that about right? And it's searchable. And it allows us to ask questions of each other and communicate with each other 24/7. And somebody's going to go out there and answer a question. So if you have a question, even if it's during a time that I'm working, somebody else is probably going to be around and can answer it for you relatively quickly. So we have these different channels. On topic is obviously going to be for when we're on topic. We should be using that for this chat, but we haven't really explained these things yet. So next week when we actually do our class, we're going to go into the on topic channel, and that's only for on topic. Classes. Assignments are going to be exactly that. I'll post the assignments there every week. And then if anyone has questions about assignments, ask them there. And then if anyone can answer a question about an assignment, if somebody's running into problems, I really ask that everybody helps each other out. The main thing that we get out of doing this as a class and not just everybody reading a book is that interaction and that ability to help each other out. The general channel, that's for anything you want it to be for. And we find that sometimes there's just like a lot of chatter that goes on there that, we just want to keep the on-topic stuff clean so people can find what we were talking about easy. File share is for sharing files. Is that Klingon, Ray? I think it's a table flip. Sam says. File share. What is the size file that you can share in Discord? Sam, Casey?
8 megabytes, I think. 8 megabytes.
8 megabytes. So anything that we're going to be writing, you can share as a, like a PY file. So everything should be cool there. $6. Oh. Okay. So any questions? Yeah. Any questions over any of this, guys? Okay, lastly, we've got Thursdays. So here's how Thursdays work. If somebody can't make it on Monday, I am going to, on Thursdays, be spending between 15 minutes and a half hour answering any questions that anyone would have. That way they can feel like they're still getting interactions even if they can't make Monday, because I know that a lot of folks are going to have some conflicts, especially in the first couple of weeks here and then throughout the summer. We want to make it easy for you to catch up, make up, and stay in contact. So, any thoughts on that? And then the last thing is, we started off at 7:30 tonight because one of the people who wanted to take part has a work schedule we were trying to work around, and they're not going to be. That's not going to be a problem. So, does 7:30 work for everybody, or would we rather do it a little bit earlier?
We're fine with it.
I'm fine with 7:30. I don't have a life. I've been married for a quarter century. Okay, 7:30.
This time is fine for me, except we usually eat about this time, so I'm missing supper right now.
Who said that?
I did.
Oh, what are you having tonight? We're gonna end up eating late on Mondays, I think. Okay, so that's all I got. So everyone can go unless you have a question, unless you want to stay on and have me walk you through installing one of the IDEs. I think it's probably a good idea to. I think for this course, the one I'm going to recommend is actually going to be Eclipse. It is a little bit harder to install, but it's got a lot of really good white space that's easier to see, and that's what I was, working with a little bit earlier. It's clean, and on top of it, it keeps your code, when you leave and then you come back. So, does anybody want some help installing?
I've already got Visual Studio Code with the Python add-in.
And I have PyCharm.
We also have an Echo.
Which one would you recommend the most? Would you recommend the VS Code or the Eclipse?
Long term, I'd recommend VS Code or PyCharm. Short term, especially if you're planning on learning several different languages, That would be because my dad is. Long term, if you're planning on doing several different languages, there is a learning curve for Eclipse, but once you learn it, then it works for Java, it works for R, it works for Python. You know, there's a lot of advantage to using it. And Micah, are you on? I know you've messed around with a lot of this. You have a recommendation for general use? Not really. 6 of one and a half dozen of the other. I mean, this is one of those things that I think an IDE, when we're talking about this, I mean, if you've got the money, full PyCharm is awesome. But for the rest of us, I think this is like picking a car. Try a couple of them out and see which one you like more.
Visual Studio.
So Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is.
But Eclipse also allows you to do a lot of stuff in Java, and it has the ability to have other plugins. I mean, it's...
Yeah, in my case, I spend most of my time in the office and, when I'm doing stuff for myself, because of its integration with SQL Server and C# and everything. I like Visual Studio, and then Visual Studio Code's not bad. But I just found for what it looks like on the screen when we're sharing, I'm going with Eclipse, and because I'm going with Eclipse, if you guys want to follow exactly what I'm doing and have everything look exactly the same, then Eclipse is fine. It's a really good IDE, and it's been around for a long time, and it's got tons and tons and tons of features, and integration with Git for when we get into that later. So, you can't go wrong. I think all of them are good. And in fact, one of the things that I would even recommend if you want to give it a try is Notepad++. It's very light. It works really well. You can set it up so that it runs right out of it as an IDE. So there's lots of good choices. Okay. What is this, Rebecca? Eclipse uses workspace. Oh, okay. So a workspace for Eclipse, Rebecca, is where it is that you're going to keep your stuff. I would suggest that you don't put your Python stuff into your Java workspace. Create a new one for your Python stuff. Does that make sense? This is the thing. Go to YouTube, and you should be able to find a very simple tutorial on getting up and running with Eclipse. Eclipse. The bad news about Eclipse is it's probably going to have the largest learning curve, because it's going to want you to work with multiple layers of files instead of just saying, hey, let me just do a simple script. Once you get that set up, it's really easy, and setting those up are really not that difficult, if you understand what you're doing. And Tim, is that something you can help walk Rebecca through?
Sure.
Okay. And if anyone who wants to do that, if there's anything that you would suggest that I cover next week, go ahead and throw that into. I'll go ahead and create a little tab on our OneNote for lesson suggestions, and then I'll walk through if you run into anything. Okay, so. Perfect. See, Rebecca's been working with us on this whole Discord thing. So it's like she finds it and she shares it, and now everyone has it.
I've been using it for the cyber defense, so
Yeah,
all of my team should know how to use it.
it's a great platform.
Yeah.
I'm glad the team talked me into changing from Skype a couple of years ago.
Skype is good for video chat and such, but
yeah, for
otherwise
long running conversations. Okay, so if anyone needs help getting set up with Eclipse or Visual Studio Code, stay on. Otherwise, thanks a lot, guys. If you have any questions you want, we'll be on Thursday. That is not a mandatory, and generally we're not going to cover anything we didn't cover today. So, that's there for the people who just can't be here on Monday. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.
okay.
Hey, bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, hang on. Hey Charles, where would you recommend? Where's the download for Eclipse? I'm Googling it and I'm finding a bunch of stuff.
I think it's just simply eclipse.com. Let me just double check that. Yeah, be careful when you download really, really popular open source. That's
Eclipse.com looks like something else.
that. But
Eclipse.org maybe?
Eclipse.org. Exactly. Just what I said. Eclipse.org. Okay, now, here's the fun part about Eclipse, because when you go to the download page, it doesn't say like, hey, download this thing here. And the reason for that is that Eclipse, you can do a lot of stuff with it because it's really designed to be an IDE. It was originally designed to work with Java, but people use like so many things with it. And they use it for so many different things that now we've got all these different packages. So what you want to do is you want to get the Neon. So download the 64-bit.
All right, so I'm on the Eclipse, the main page here, and it looks like IDE and tools is one of the options.
Let me go back to the main page.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. The easy thing is there should be a big orange button in the upper right-hand corner that says download.
Yep. Download. There we go. All right.
Right?
I'll take you too far into it.
And then you want to choose the one that says Get Eclipse Neon.
Okay.
Download 64. Right. Now, unless you're using a Macintosh or some other non-appropriate platform.
We're appropriate.
Okay, and then when you install this, there's a very important thing. Just accept. The most important thing here is it's going to talk about your path in one little checkbox, and if you breeze over it, you'll miss it, and then it'll be a real big pain. So when the Eclipse installer comes up, it's going to ask you stuff that doesn't make sense, like Eclipse IDE for Java developers, Eclipse IDE for Java EE developers, etc., etc. Right? And this is where it can get fun, because we're about to find out if you have got Java on your computer, because it's first and foremost, a Java platform. And so if you choose Eclipse for Java developers, which is, the most generic sort of thing, that's what you want, because it's got the Git client, installed with it, Myelin, and all these other kind of things that you're going to want. But if you don't have Java, it's going to tell you, hey, you need to have Java. So go ahead and choose that. And it's either going to say install, or it's going to give you a message that says, hey, you got to get Java.
Okay. All right, we're still waiting to download. It's taking a while for some reason tonight.
I can forget about these things.
All right, but I'm seeing what I'm watching your screen, so I'm seeing what's coming here.
Okay, now I've got Java installed, so it detected that, and it's going to go ahead and let me to install. If I didn't, then it would say, hey, you got to go get one of these things, and let me just go. And show you what you're going to want to get if you need to do that. Download.
Are you downloaded yet? No, it's not downloaded. Okay.
It's just the yeah. You're gonna download something called the Java JDK. And let me give you the address here. It squawks. And then on my screen, you'll see that I'm going to go ahead and say I accept the license agreement, and then I want to download Windows x64 if you're running Windows 10 or like anything modern. And you just click on this little thing right here.
Okay.
And that's about 200 megabytes, so that'll take, some time, I think.
All right, so I'm running it now. So let's see what it takes us. Are you running? No. Here, is your download done yet? No. No. Okay. Eclipse isn't done. All right. Well, hold on. All right. So I got the Eclipse installer, and then you had said the one for Java developers.
Yeah, the Java. Yeah, the one for Java developers.
Okay.
And the first thing it's going to do is it's going to look to see if you got the JDK installed, the Java Development Kit.
Okay. It went essential tools for Java developer, installation folder, and then choose install, and then that's when it'll check.
Yep.
Up now, installing, installation failed. Using requirements.
And that's probably where it's telling you need the JDK.
I don't know. It's saying a lot of stuff.
You know how to take a screenshot?
Yeah.
Okay, take the screenshot and then toss it onto the Discord. Paste it on the Discord.
Do you need the whole thing? I don't think I can capture all of it in one.
Oh, you can. Just do Alt print screen.
Will it do the Alt function print screen? Because it's blue.
You want a laptop?
Yeah.
Okay. And then just go into, yep, there you go.
There.
What does this say?
Grab.
Downloading. What is this?
That was the bottom part of it.
Okay, it says an error occurred while downloading.
Oh, do I need to re-download?
I don't know. I wouldn't. Yeah, scroll to the top so we can see what that is.
Sure.
No, this is saying it was the error occurred while downloading the install.
Yeah.
Not that original. Not the original file. So you can run that again from your download directory.
All right, we'll try it again. See what it does.
That's not what I was expecting you to get.
All right, let's see. So, and then it's the one Eclipse IDE for Java developers, not the one that's Java EE. It's just the top one, right?
Yeah, just the top one.
All right. Install. Thinking. I didn't get that. You didn't get that? Yours went fine?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I didn't get that entire the screen that you just clicked on.
All right, we'll take a look at it. We'll see. All right, so here is top part there.
Okay. Bundle requirement resolving.
Yours, which did yours
Click
download?
on the thing and this popped up.
Yeah, Java for Windows is missing. So yours says Java for Windows is missing.
Yeah, and that might be Java runtime environment. Yeah, my guess is that you should probably go ahead and install Java. I don't know
Okay.
what this is, but I know that do you have the SDK the JDK installed?
I honestly, I don't, I haven't worked with Java, so I don't know.
Okay, if you haven't installed it, you probably don't have it.
Okay, all right.
Right. So if you look at that link that I sent you.
Yep. The Oracle link.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
And
Yeah, that
then
one too. Oracle link, because yours specifically said Anakin.
Yep.
All right. All right. So this is the one, and then we want the Java.
yeah, Java.
SE.
Yes, Java SE development kit, and what you want to do is just click on the accept license agreement.
Okay.
And then if you go down the bottom of that first section, it'll say Windows x64 and it's like JDK-8U131 Windows.x64.exe.
Yeah.
Yeah, just click that link. And then this will be about a 200 megabyte download.
I'll take a little bit. All right.
So I don't know how fast you're going, but I can pull it about 100. And it took a minute. So
No, we're pretty slow tonight for some reason. So I'll tell you what, we'll get that, and then once we get to it, is it just a matter of installing that and then running that installer again for Eclipse?
correct. And what you're going to want to do with the Eclipse installer, let me just walk through and see if I can get to that right place, because there's a very important thing you got to do. Okay, there's going to be a check mark late in this install, if I remember correctly, that says use the path or update the path. You want to do that.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to cancel this because, well, it shouldn't hurt. I have the program open. And then what you can do is if you get stuck or something like that, just feel free to reach out on Discord. One of the reasons we have it is, I might not be there right now, but Sam might, or Casey might, or Micah might, or somebody might.
Sure.
Tim might, and somebody should be able to help you out. Because it's once you get that up, and then as I say, the most important thing that you can do this week is obviously read the chapters, but get through the first few of those practice exercises. And when I say get through them, you will struggle through them.
Okay.
Right? But that's okay, because you're going to make 1,000 errors. But those 1,000 errors, that's where you learn.
Yep. So when we pull open the Eclipse, when we open it up, does it pretty much open up to a screen to start working from then, or do we have to
No, there's a couple things you're going to do. Let me walk you through what it's going to look like when you open it up.
Great, thank you.
Because when you open it up, there's another thing that you're going to have to do.
You want to do it that way if I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And keep in mind, because we're walking through this is going to be on the video, so you can always go back and look at the video again.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you go into help, you're going to have this thing called Eclipse Marketplace. So help Eclipse Marketplace. And when you get there, there's going to be this little find box. And in the find box, you're just going to go ahead and type in PYDEV, PyDev, and hit enter. And it's going to go out and it's going to find you this plugin called PyDev Python IDE for Eclipse 5.7.0. And over in this little right-hand corner, you're going to have a button. And for me, it says installed, but for you, it's going to say install. And then you're going to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
And that'll go through some process. And then when you get done, you're now going to have PyDev installed, but you're not going to be on it. So the way that Eclipse works is that this is an IDE that works for all these different languages that you might install. So you just installed the PyDev, way of looking at this. But what you can do is you can switch your workspaces, but you can also, let me see, where's it at here? When you start a new file, you're going to go to File, New, and I'm just going to go ahead and start a other, and go to Java, because that way look like what you're used to seeing, or what you will see. I think I gotta open up my Java package.
Yours finished downloading? No, not yet. Okay. Switch to the, yeah, mine finished. Switch to the 5G down here. Since we're closer to the router. There's no 5G. There's no 5G connecting. Really? I have the 5G and the 2.4. Is the 2.4 the only thing you have? Yeah. Bummer, dude.
You want to go to File? The first thing you need to do, go to File, go down to
That's where you're going to be able to choose. Where's your time? Cancel. Is there a second?
Okay, so I'm trying to get back to what this is going to look like. When you come into it fresh. Okay, so I think.
Okay, so
Okay, so
Always on.
now I've got this back to a Java perspective, is what they call it. So this is what it's going to sort of start with when you create your first file. Is it's going to be in a Java perspective. Once you install PyDev, you're going to want to go to File, and then you're going to want to go to New, and then you have to choose Other. And then here you're going to have all these different things that are installed, and I'm going to choose PyDev, and I'm going to choose PyDev Project. And then project name is whatever you want to call it. Okay, and that'll change the perspective to one of Python.
PyDev and then PyDev project.
Yes, and then you name that, and then once you're in this Python perspective, and you'll know that because it'll say PyDev up here. Then really what you need to do is first open up a package. So you're going to go File, New, Python Package, and that's going to be the container that you can put your scripts in. So that's what these packages are here, right? And then once you have a package, you just go File, New, File. I'm sorry, Module, PyDev Module. And in that PyDev module, you're going to tell it the package and give it a name. Let's just go ahead and call this test mod. And you'll see that test mod is up here. And now what I can do is, and then when I want to run it, I just go ahead and hit run. It's going to choose, always chooses Python run. You're going to have to do that once per session. And then I'll run it down here. Easy as pie.
So each assignment, we would do a new test mod for it.
It depends on how you want to do it. You could do it that way. I'll tell you the way that I'm doing it is I've got a tab that I've put in the OneNote. And I just put it called Charles Practice. Go ahead and feel free to put one in called your own, right? You just hit this little plus. And then what I'm doing is I'm copying the question in. So your first question on that first practicepython.org is right here. And then what I'm doing is I'm putting my code that's the answer, to those questions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other way that you can do that, and it's perfectly fine, is, okay, I've got this general thing. I can add File, New Python module, and I can call this Q1. And then for question 2, and you see how it's got that little asterisk there? That just means it's not saved out. And then what I've got it's going to ask you about this, and this is one of those settings that you're going to come across, is to save it before you run it. Otherwise, you just, when you create a new module and you put some new code in, you'll notice that now I can save. And this thing has got an asterisk again saying it's not saved. It technically won't run until it saves, but I've told it to save before it runs. So if I click save, the asterisk goes away, and now I can run it, and it runs fine.
All right.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And then,
it does.
Yeah, and I'm going to suggest if you're new to you're new to Eclipse, do a basic, and I would say do a basic PyDev in Eclipse thing on YouTube.
Okay.
What you need to learn, you can learn in a few minutes, half hour most. Probably worth doing.
Okay.
right? Okay. Anything else I can help with?
I think that's it for now. Thanks for walking us through that. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Anytime. And if you, as you say, if you have questions, feel free to ask them.
All right. Sounds good. We'll see you guys next week then.
Yep. Later.
All right.